Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be looking at a prophet's prayer for a pimp. And I think this is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, it's a fascinating book. You got this urban setting, but then you have this underlying spiritual warfare. It's a really interesting mix.
It really is. And in the middle of all of that, we have the main character, Andre Golden.
hmm
He is an ex-convict, but he ends up becoming a pastor.
What's really interesting about Andre is that even when he was, at his lowest point, there were these little hints about his, like his inherent goodness. Like there's this part in the book where there's a prison riot, and Andre actually puts himself in danger to protect a younger inmate from getting attacked.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It's like even in all the chaos, you can see that he has this compassion.
Right. And then there's this old man in the prison named Jeremiah, and he kind of has this like prophetic ability, I guess you could say, and he sees that Andre is going to be a prophet.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
It is. And at first, Andre doesn't really believe him. But, as time goes on, Jeremiah's words, they kind of stick with him.
I can imagine.
And then when Andre gets released, he goes back to his hometown, Irwin, Mississippi, and he starts working to, fix up this church, New Hope Church. But it's more than just fixing a building. It's like he's trying to bring hope back to the entire community.
Yeah, that's a really important theme of the book for sure.
It is. And so this is how we get introduced to the bad guy of the story, Slim Jim. He's a pimp who's basically running the town.
Wow.
But there's this twist. He's actually being controlled by a demon named Blanco.
Okay, so we've got this ex-convict turned pastor going up against this demon-controlled pimp.
Yeah, and it makes for some pretty intense scenes. But before we get into that, it's important to understand how Slim ended up working with this demon, Blanco. It's a classic story of, ambition leading to a bad place.
Yeah, I bet Blanco didn't exactly offer Slim a good deal. So what happened?
Well, Slim, he always wanted power. He wanted to be in control. And when he was desperate, that's when Blanco appeared. And the demon promised Slim everything. Money, influence, power, you name it. But in exchange for, pretty much his soul.
Wow, talk about a bad deal.
Exactly. And as Slim got more powerful, Blanco's influence started to change him. He became really cruel, especially towards the women he controlled, like Bambi and Desiree. The book really shows how this power dynamic hurts people.
Yeah, and it really makes you think about how this kind of darkness can exist anywhere.
It does. But even with all that going on, you have Andre. He represents hope, and one of the first big things he does is an exorcism.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
So this young boy is brought to Andre, and he's possessed by a demon. His mom is really scared. And what's really amazing about this scene is that it shows how Andre's power comes from his faith. It's not something he just has naturally. It comes from God.
Right. So it's not just about saying the words. It's about believing them.
Exactly. And this whole idea of using scripture as a weapon against evil, it's something that's really important throughout the whole book.
So I'm curious, does the book tell you, what specific verses to use?
It does get into specifics. You see Andre choosing certain verses for different situations. Like, for example, when he's up against Blanco's raw power, he'll use verses about God's protection. And then when he's dealing with a character we'll talk about later, Silas, who's all about manipulation, Andre uses verses about truth and seeing things clearly.
So it's kind of like he's using the right tool for the right job.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows how Andre isn't just a man of faith. He's also thinking strategically about how to use his faith.
So what happens when Andre first meets Slim Jim? Is there this instant, clash of good and evil?
Well, there's definitely some tension when they meet. But what's surprising is that Andre isn't really thrown off by Slim's power. It's the fear he senses from Blanco, the demon, that really gets to him.
So even this powerful demon is afraid of Andre.
Exactly. And that realization that even demons can be afraid, it gives Andre even more strength to fight back against the darkness.
Well, this is already getting really interesting. But it sounds like things are about to get even more complicated. The outline mentions that there are some new demons coming to town.
That's right. Just when it seems like Andre is making progress against Blanco, we have two more demons, Silas and Morbus, who show up. And they are not here to mess around. So where we left off, Andre is now facing, not just Blanco, but also Silas and Morbus. They're really upping the ante in terms of, evil in Irwin.
Yeah, it's almost like the whole town's become this battleground for a spiritual war.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense in this part of the book. And the big showdown actually happens at New Hope Church, the same church that Andre's been working to fix up.
That's interesting. It makes the church more than just a building, right? It's like a symbol of what he's fighting for.
Exactly. And the author, he does a really good job of describing how the church gets, totally messed up during the fight. Like there are pews overturned and windows broken, and you can just feel this clash between good and evil happening right there in the sanctuary.
I can imagine. It sounds pretty cinematic.
Oh, it is. And in the middle of all that chaos, you have Andre, with his Bible standing up to these demons. But what's cool is that the book also shows how the people in the church, the congregation, they actually play a role in the fight too.
Well, how so?
Well, they're not just, watching from the sidelines, they're praying, and their faith actually makes Andre stronger. It's like their combined belief is a weapon against the darkness.
That's a really powerful image. It shows how even when things are really bad, there's strength in coming together and having faith.
Right. And then there's Slim Jim. He's still caught between, wanting to be free of Blanco and being under his control. The book really gets into his head during this battle.
So where does he end up? Does he side with Andre, or is he still stuck with Blanco?
It's tough to say. I mean, he's really fighting against Blanco's influence. He wants to break free, He wants to choose good. But it's not that easy. The demon has a really strong hold on him.
So he's not exactly an ally, but there's still that possibility that he can change.
Yeah, there's hope for him. And what's really amazing is that Andre never gives up on him. In fact, there's this one point where, in the middle of all this chaos, Andre starts praying, but not for himself, for Slim.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, to pray for someone who's basically your enemy, that's real faith.
It is. And what's even crazier is that Slim actually reacts to Andre's prayer. Like, it's almost as if Andre's words are cutting through all that darkness that Blanco's put on him.
So is that what finally breaks Blanco's hold on Slim?
It's not that simple. It's more of a process. Slim has to fight back with all his strength. But as he starts praying with Andre, something incredible happens.
What is it?
Their prayer, combined with the faith of everyone in the church, creates this surge of power, of divine energy. It's like this force that just washes over everything, pushing the demons back to wherever they came from.
So it's a victory for Andre and for good, right? But it sounds like it comes at a price.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the church is pretty much destroyed. And Slim, even though he's free from Blanco, he's still dealing with the trauma of, being possessed. And the town itself, Ergwine, it's been through a lot because of this fight.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that even when evil is defeated, there's still healing and rebuilding that needs to happen.
Exactly. And the book does a good job of showing how Slim starts to take those first steps towards redemption. He's looking for forgiveness and trying to make things right.
And what about Andre? How does he deal with everything that's happened?
Well, he's definitely tired. I mean, both physically and mentally. But his faith is still strong. He knows that fighting darkness is a never-ending battle. There's always going to be another challenge.
So he's become more than just a warrior in this spiritual war. He's become a leader.
Yeah, he's guiding his community through all of this. And even though the book ends with this victory, there's this feeling that Andre's story isn't over.
Well, you mentioned that there's a sequel.
Right. A prophet's prayer for a prostitute picks up where this one leaves off. But before we get into that, remember that question we talked about earlier about choosing a verse from the Bible as a weapon?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. It's hard to choose just one. There's so many good ones.
It really shows you how powerful the Bible is. But if I had to pick one for this book, I'd go with Ephesians 6:10. It says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power."
That's a good one. Why that verse specifically?
Because throughout the whole book, we see Andre going up against these incredibly powerful forces. And sometimes it seems like he can't possibly win, but what keeps him going, what gives him the strength to fight, is his faith in God.
Right. It's about relying on something bigger than yourself, about finding strength even when you feel weak.
Exactly. And it's not just about Andre. The whole congregation finds strength in their faith. They come together, they pray for each other, and that shared belief becomes their protection.
It's a good reminder that we're not meant to go through tough times alone. We need each other. We need to support each other and find strength in our shared faith.
And even Slim Jim, in his own way, he starts to find that strength, that sense of belonging within the church community.
This has been a really interesting deep dive. I mean, we've gone from the streets of Uruguay to these intense spiritual battles, and we've really gotten into some deep topics like faith, redemption, and hope.
It's a book that makes you think.
So as we finish up this deep dive into A Prophet's Prayer for a Pimp, I got to say, there's a lot more to this book than I thought there would be. It's not just about, demons and stuff.
It really isn't. There's so much about, what it means to be human and the struggle between good and evil and, of course, the power of faith.
One thing that really got to me was how the book really connected with the experiences of people in prison.
Yeah, well, the author himself, he spent time in prison, and that really comes through in Andre's story. It's like a message of hope for anyone who's been through something like that.
It's like no matter how bad things get, you can always change. You can always find redemption.
Exactly. And the book, it's not just for people who've been incarcerated. It's for anyone who's ever had questions about their faith. The way the author writes about spiritual warfare, it's like, it's something real, something we all face in our lives.
And I like that it doesn't, sugarcoat things. It shows how hard it can be to deal with doubt and those times when you feel like giving up. But it also shows how faith and prayer and community can help you through those times.
That's what makes this book so powerful. It doesn't give you, easy answers. It makes you think about your own life and your own struggles and how you can overcome them.
Now, we got to talk about the extras that come with the book. There's that quiz and the questionnaire and something called the AMANNMEDIA Corrective Character Building Program.
Yeah, it's really cool. The author clearly wants people to do more than just read the story. He wants them to, learn from it and grow from it.
It's like taking that journey with Andre and then, continuing on your own path.
The quiz is fun, just to see how well you remember the story. But that questionnaire, that's where it gets more personal. It makes you think about your own beliefs and your own experiences.
And then there's that AMAN media program. What exactly is that?
It's like a series of exercises and stuff, all designed to help you develop good character traits and become a better person, basically.
So it's about actually making changes in your own life, not just reading about it.
Right. It's a really great resource for anyone who's, feeling lost or stuck in their life. And the fact that it comes with the book shows how much the author cares about, helping people.
Well, I'm going to say this has been an amazing deep dive. We've explored the streets of Uruguay. We've seen some intense battles, and we've really gotten into some deep stuff.
A Prophet's Prayer for a Pimp is definitely a book that'll stick with you. It makes you think about the darkness in the world and how we can fight back against it with faith and community.
And if you want more, there's the sequel, A Prophet's Prayer for a Prostitute, to check out.
Can't wait to see what happens next.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep searching, keep asking questions, and keep looking for the light within yourselves and in the world.